Baruchim Haboim, welcome everyone. We're about to begin on Daf Yud Gimel, Amud Aleph, the last two lines from the two dots. The Gemara discusses now, until when in Kriya Shema must you have Kavanas Halev? Says the Gemara, Tanu Rabbanon, V'hoyu, it quotes the pasuk, let's say its entirety. V'hoyu hadvorim ha'ela asher anochi mitzavecho hayoim al levovecha. Says the Brisa, V'hoyu, shelo yikro lemafreya, you shall not read the Kriya Shema backwards, out of order. Hadvorim al levovecho. Yachol tehe kol haparsha tzricha kavana. I might think the entire parsha needs kavanas halev. Tamu loymar ha'ele ad kan tzricha kavana mikan ve'elach ein tzricha kavana. Divrei Rabbi Eliezer. Rabbi Eliezer is of the opinion you only have to have kavanas halev until the words al levovecho. Omole Rabbi Akiva, Harehu Oimer, behold, it says in that verse, Asher Anochi Mitzavcha Hayoim Al Livavecha, which implies the entire first parsha. Mikan Ato Lomed, Shekola Parsha Kula Tzricha Kavona. Omar Rabbi Bar Bar Chana Omar Rabbi Yochanan, Halacha K'Rabbi Akiva. The halacha is like Rabbi Akiva, that you must have Kavonas Halei for the entire first parsha. That means the first pasuk of Kriya Shema and the whole paragraph of V'ahavta. Ike demasni lo aho. There are those who teach that which Rabbi Bar Chana said in the name of Rabbi Yochanan on the following. The Tanya that says in the Brisa, Hakare Eshma, one who reads the Kriya Shema, tzareh sheyechaven es liboy. He must have kavanas halev. Rabbi Acha Mishum Rabbi Yehuda Oimer, kivan shekivan liboy be'perik rishon. Shuv einot tzarich. He must only have the first paragraph, the first parsha of Kavanas Halev. Afterwards, he doesn't have to have Kavanas Halev. Omer Rabbi Bar Chana, Rabbi Yochanan, halacha Rabbi Acha she'omar mishum Rabbi Yehuda. And this, Rabbi Bar Chana says in the name of Rabbi Yochanan, the halacha is in the name of Rabbi Yehuda over here, that you must say the first parak of Kriya Shema with Kavanas Halev. Tanya Idach. We have another brisa. V'hoyu shelo yikro lemafreya. You shall not read the Kriya Shema lemafreya, like we said, out of order, with the psukim either backwards or not in the proper order. Mai shnok mikan ve'elach. Sorry, al levavecho. It says in the pasuk, Rabbi Zutra, omer ad kan mitzvahs kavana. Until al levavecho, one has to have kavana. Mikan ve'elach mitzvah kriya. Afterwards, he has to have mitzvah kriya, but not kavana. Rabbi Yoshaya oimer ad kan mitzvah kriya, mikan ve'elach mitzvah kavana. Until al levavecha, you have to have kriya, and afterwards kavana. The Gemara is going to explain what that means. Maishna asked the Gemara, mikan ve'elach mitzvahs kriya, that from here onwards there's a mitzvah of kriya. Dichsiv ledaber bom. Why? Because it says ledaber bom in the second paragraph of the Kriya Shema. Hochanami huchsiv v'dibarta bom. So too in the first paragraph of the Kriya Shema it says v'dibarta bom. So you should also have Kriya. Now this is what he meant to say. Ad kan mitzvahs kavana v'kriya. Mikan ve'elach kriya beloy kavana. Until now we must have kavana and kriya in the first paragraph of the Kriya Shema. After which you can have just kriya without kavana. Umayshna ad kam mitzvahs kavana v'kriya. Why is it that you require the first paragraph to have kavana and kriya? The Chsivik says al levavecha v'dibarta bom. So hasam nami, also over there in the second paragraph of Kriya Shema, in the Vahayim Shamo, it says haksiv al levavchem ledaber bom. Hahu mi boy like Rabbi Yitzchok. No, we need those words of al levavchem ledaber bom like Rabbi Yitzchok taught. Domer v'samtem es devarei eile tzricha shteisima keneged halev. When it says v'samtem es devarei eile, it refers to the tefillin. He says that it should be opposite one's heart. Omar Mar. Now the Gemara goes back to the statement that we had before. Rabbi Oshaya Oimer ad kan mitzvahs kriya. Until now, meaning the first paragraph, you must have the mitzvah of kriya. Mikan ve'elach mitzvahs kavana. Afterwards, you have to have kavana. What does that mean? Gemara explains. Maishna mikan ve'elach mitzvahs kavana. By the way, right, he meant to say that the first paragraph you have to have kriya. Afterwards, it's enough just to mechavein in your heart, just to think with the kavanas halev alone without expressing the words. So Gemara says, "My shno mikan ve'elach mitzvah kavana." Why is it that from here onwards you have to have kavana? Is mishum dechsiv al levavchem, because in the paragraph vayim shamoa it says the words al levavchem. Hochanami asked the Gemara, Hoksiv al levavecha. It says in the first paragraph also al levavecha. Hochikam, this is what he meant to say. No. Ad kan mitzvahs kriya v'kavana. The first paragraph requires kriya and kavana. Mikan ve'elach kavana below kriya. Afterwards, kavana is sufficient without actually expressing the words. Says the Gemara, Umayshna ad kan mitzvahs kriya v'kavana. What's the difference between over here that we require that there be kriya and kavana? Dichsiv, it says al levavecha v'dibarta bom. In the first paragraph, it says these words al levavecha, which implies kavana, v'dibarta bom, implying kriya. Hasam nami hoksiv al levavchem ledaber bom. But in the second paragraph, it also says such words al levavchem ledaber bom. Says the Gemara, no, hahu midivrei Torah ksiv. When it says in the second paragraph, al levavchem ledaber bom, there it's referring to divrei Torah. As follows, v'hochika omar, Rachman, this is what the Torah meant to say, means to say, agmeru b'naichu, teach your children Torah, ki heichi deligirsu behu, so that they will then speak in the words of Torah. Says the Gemara, along the same subject of Kavanas Halev, Ton Rabbanon, Shema Yisrael Hashem Elokeinu Hashem Echad. Ad kan sricha Kavanas Halev, Divrei Rabbi Meir. Rabbi Meir says you need to have Kavanas Halev only for the first pasuk of Kriya Shema. Omar Rav halacha ki Rabbi Meir. The halacha is like Rabbi Meir, that's sufficient, that lichatchila, it's true, you should have Kavanas Halev for the rest of the Kriya Shema, but b'di'evet, the first pasuk is sufficient to mekayim your mitzvah of Kriya Shema. Tanya, sumchus oimer. Now we begin to speak about how one says these words of Shema Yisrael Hashem Elokeinu Hashem Echad. Sumchus oimer, he says the following: Kol ha'ma'arich be'echad, all who lengthen the pronunciation of the word echad, ma'arichin lo yamav u'shnoisav. We will then also lengthen min hashamayim his days and his years. Omar Rav Acha bar Yaakov ubedalis Omar ubedalis, and he should lengthen it with the word dalid. He should pronounce the word dalid with a lengthening. Omar Rav Ashi ubevashelo yachtoif beches, so long as you don't make the ches unaudible and just say it with a chopped sound. Chod. Rabbi Yirmiyahu have Yosef kamed Rabbi Chia bar Abba. Chaz yeda have marich tuva. He saw that he was saying echad very, very long. Omar lei said to him, Kiven da amlichite lemayla ulamata ula'arba ruchos hashamayim suloi tzrichas. So long as you're coming to the mekabel upon yourself, O malchus shamayim, taking lamala or lamata and all of the daled ruchos, that more you don't need. And by the way, the word echad is a remez to that. Aleph refers to one, HaKadosh Baruch Hu is the one and only. Ches in Gematria is 8, referring to the Shiva Rekim and the Oretz, that's 8. And Daled refers to the Daled Ruchos, so a person's mekabel upon himself the Ol Malchus Shamayim in all of the Shamayim and the Oretz and the Daled Ruchos. Omar Rav Nosim bar Ukvo Omar Rav Yehuda Al Levavecha Be'amida. A person must stand when saying the words Al Levavecha. In other words, even according to Beis Hillel, that you can say Kriya Shema while you're walking, but when it comes to these words of Al Levavecha, you must stand in place so you can have Kavanas Halev. Al Levavecha Sal Kedaitoch. Only these words Al Levavecha, that's sufficient to stand still, but other words not. Ela Ema Ad Al Levavecha Bamida. Rather, the Kavan is to read until the words of Al Levavecha while standing still. Mikan ve'elach loy. Afterwards, you don't have to then stand still. You can continue walking. Rabbi Yochanan Omar kol parsha kula ba'amida. Rabbi Yochanan said the opinion the entire parsha, the first parsha of Shema ve'ahavta, must be said be'amida. Ve'oz Rabbi Yochanan tamei, and that's Rabbi Yochanan according to his shita, which we saw earlier. The Omer Rabbi Barachano, Omer Rabbi Yochanan halacha ki Rabbi Acha she'omar mishum Rabbi Yehuda, that the first perek must be with kavanas halev. Says the Gemara, Tonu Rabbanon, Shema Yisrael Hashem Elokeinu Hashem Echad. Zu Kriya Shema Shel Rabbi Yehuda Anasi. Rabbi Anasi said the first pasuk in order to fulfill his mitzvah Kriya Shema, that was sufficient, he held. Omar le Rabbi Chia Loi Chazina le Rabbi the Mekaber Alav Ale Malchus Shamayim. I didn't see Rabbi being Mekabel or Malchus Shamayim, meaning I didn't see him say the first pasuk of Kriya Shema. Omar le, so Rabbi Chia said back to Rav, Bar Pachti, the son of great ones, of Gedolim, B'shosha ma'avir yadav alpanav. While he's giving us the shir in Torah, and he's teaching us Torah, so he puts his hand over his eyes, over his face. He's mekaba olav o malchus shamayim. That's when he's saying the first pasuk of Kriya Shema. Ask the Gemara, choizer v'gomra, or eino choizer v'gomra. After the shir in Torah that he gives to his students, does he repeat the rest of the Kriya Shema or not? Bar Kapara Omer eino choizer v'gomra. He doesn't, because he's oisik in Torah, and that suffices. Rabbi Shimon Rabbi Omer choizer v'gomra. He says no, it's true he's oisik in Torah, but he says Kriya Shema afterwards, although it's not bizmanoi, to have schar of limud, and therefore it's as if he's reading psukim in the Torah, or he is reading psukim in the Torah, and therefore he says Kriya Shema for that purpose. According to me, that he does not choizer v'goymer the entire Kriya Shema after the shiur. And that's why Rabbi in the middle of the shiur mentions something in the halacha of Yetzias Mitzrayim, so they can mekayim the zechiras Yetzias Mitzrayim. But according to you, the Amri is choizer v'goimre, lama le'lahadure. You who hold that he does anyways come back and say Kriya Shema afterwards. So then, why does he mention something in the middle of the shiur always about zechiras Mitzrayim? He's being zoicher Yetzias Mitzrayim after the shiur. Answers the Gemara, no, it's true. He was mentioning Kriya Shema once again and mentioned Yetzias Mitzrayim, but he wanted to mention Yetzias Mitzrayim bizmano, and therefore he was makbid during the course of his shiur to mention something related to Yetzias Mitzrayim. Omer Rabbi Ilo bered Rav Shmuel bar Marta mishmei de Rav. Omer Shema Yisrael Hashem Elokeinu Hashem Echad v'ne'enas b'sheina yatza. If a person said the first pasuk of Kriya Shema and then he fell, meaning he became then tired and started to doze off when he said the rest of the words, he's still going to be yatza b'di'evid. Omar le Rav Nachman l'daroi avdoi. Rav Nachman told to his evid daroi bepsuko kamot sa'aron. The first pasuk, make sure to mitzayir me that I don't fall asleep. In other words, keep me up. Tfei lo ditzaron. But after that, as long as I am dozing off, I can still say the words, although I'm not saying with kavanas halev, I'm yosef b'di'evet, don't mitzayir me. Omar leRav Yosef berei the Rabba. Avuch hechi hava ovid. Your father, how was he noiheg? What was his opinion about the halacha until when must say Kriya Shema in terms of his kavanas halev? Omar le bepsuka kama hava kametzar nafshe. The first pasuk he would mitzar himself to make sure that he had kavanas halev. Tfei lo hava mitzar nafshe. Afterwards he wasn't mitzar himself, and he didn't say Kriya Shema the rest of the psukim with kavanas halev, then he was yatsa. On Rav Yosef, another halacha in regards to saying Kriya Shema, prakdan, when a person lays on his back straight on his back, Lo yikra Kriya Shema, he shall not read Kriya Shema. Says the Gemara, Mikrahu de lo likri, he shall not read Kriya Shema while he's lying down praktan on his back. Ha migne shapir dami, but just to lie down would be okay. That would be okay to lie down on your back in a praktan type of way. Veho Rabbi Yoshua ben Levi light aman de gania prakid. Rabbi Yoshua ben Levi cursed the person who lies straight on his back, what we call prakdan. Amrei migne kimatzli shapir dami. When he's lying down and he is a little bit on his side, that's okay. When he's stam lying down. However, mikro afagav de matzli nami oster. But when he's reading Kriya Shema, if he's lying down and he's a little bit on his side, that is not okay. That's not proper kavod and the proper way of reciting Kriya Shema, being makabel ol malchus shamayim. V'ho asked the Gemara, Rabbi Yochanan, matzli v'kari. He would lie down on his back and a little bit to the side, and he would recite Kriya Shema in that manner. Says the Gemara, he was an exception. Shani Rabbi Yochanan the Baal Boser Hava. Because Rabbi Yochanan was a very large individual, and it was very difficult for him to then get up or lay more on his side, and therefore they permitted him to read Kriya Shema just slightly tilted on his side.